going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another edition of MLB Picks and Props Around the Diamond, powered by FTN Bets, also presented by GamePlus Network, live on our FTN Network YouTube page, MLBDream, myself, Chris Meaney. That's where you can find us on the Twitter machine. We are going to break down the late slate. I know there's a lot of afternoon action happening as per usual on a Wednesday. If you guys have any fantasy baseball questions, you can leave them there in the comment section. You're watching on Game Plus, you want to hop on over, ask any questions, you can do so on our YouTube page, and we'll always circle back before first pitch on main slates and things like that. But Dream's always pretty good answering your questions on Twitter at MLBDream, myself at Chris Meaney as well. And Dream, dude, I know you don't want to pump your own tires, so I'm going to pump for you. Dude, you've been just so red hot. Daily Handles in the house. Let's go. I just took a look at your last few picks. Now, you're up to 66.8 units. You're at 43 on sides. We can call it 30 on props, 29.98, up to 66 units. You were 13-2 in your last 15 picks. It looks like you had a near perfect day yesterday. Actually, did you? Pretty much calling strikeout props, I think you were perfect.
Yeah, 5-0 in strikeout props, and I lost the Giants' first 5. But, yeah, man, it's been a really good year. I was saying this is my first full season betting strikeout props. I got into it maybe last month or two last year, and honestly, I feel like the market's gotten a little bit easier as the season has gone on. Someone was blowing up this market around 9:30 in the morning pretty much every day for the first month or so, and I'm glad that's kind of stopped. And hopefully people continue to bet football and leave the strikeout props to us. And Meaney, if I'm not mistaken, you're what, man? Like 15-3 over your last 18? You're killing it as well.
Yeah, it's proceed with caution, guys. You know, of course, we will always hold ourselves accountable on this show. We'll take the losses. We'll see where we can adjust and what went wrong and how we can move forward as a team. But yeah, it's been pretty good. You're right, 15-3 the last few. So between us, we've been doing pretty decent here on this show. So there's still time if you wanted to get involved in the FTN betting family. And I have said this a few times, but just bear with me. You get all picks from everybody across all sports over at FTN. Of course, we have NFL, we have college sports, NHL, NBA here before you know it. We still have 2 really solid months of betting baseball, playoffs as well. And I really like playoff ball. And when it comes to props and things like that, sometimes you'll see certain pitchers get left out a little bit longer, depending on the manager, of course. But sometimes you'll see pitchers get, give them an extra little bit of a leash so we can get some of those strikeout props that we do like. But you can use the promo code FTN20, save yourself 20%. Also access to Discord channel, projections, tools. This is how the day went for me yesterday. I think you were on a couple of these as well. I got lucky with some for sure. With the Yankees, we needed extras to get to that one. They had rocked Pavetta in the 3 previous starts, but they did find their way yesterday, and Aaron Judge had a couple more home runs. As you know, I tell you all the time, I'm a sucker for the White Sox. It kind of worked out for me. I really like Aldis Andres, the top of the order. He's actually been a top 10 fantasy baseball player over the last month or so. I guess he just needed out of Oakland. He's been leading off for the White Sox, and they're in a pretty good spot against Chad Kuhl, who had a 9.09 ERA since July 1st, was by far the highest in baseball, and he got roughed up a little bit yesterday, had the parlay in there. I think you were on Montgomery and Cole. We'll get to kind of my thinking with one of my props today, another 6.5. I just thought like Garrett Cole, Red Sox, I know he had more strikeouts than innings pitched against them, and I know the Red Sox got some power, but 6.5 it was just too low for a guy like Cole, and you were on that one as well, right?
Yeah, no, I was on that one. I was telling you in the green room, I was a little nervous because I was on 5 overs last night in the strikeout market. I thought maybe I was off instead of the market, and didn't seem to be the case. But yeah, I see you nailed that White Sox game as well. Great job there. I've been kind of a little nervous to even, get involved in any of their games. So nice job just firing away on those.
I did an Abreu. I was thinking about Jose Abreu home run or total bases, and obviously it's a little bit easier to get the total bases. I would say like maybe a unit on total bases and like half a unit or 0.25 on the home run. He did go yard, and I was looking at numbers too since July 1st. Nobody has more hits than Jose Abreu. I know he doesn't have a ton of power. He did go deep yesterday, but he's just like a grizzled vet at this point of his career, like kind of underrated. Solid hitter, lefties, righties, just finds a way to get on base. So
yeah, just great on base guy. And honestly, I kind of hope he comes to the Orioles. I think his contract is up soon. I know he wants to be a White Sox for life, but I think it would be a great fit here in Baltimore. And that's actually the next market I want to get into. I've been checking it out for the last month or so, and I'll probably start throwing out some bets next year is the total base market. I like Gunnar and Adley yesterday. I just tracking a little bit and just kind of starting to look into that market.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of value to be had. I mean, really good players. Like we gave Trout on the show on Monday. He was plus money. He went yard again. Can you believe that? Seven straight yesterday. Of course, they weren't pitching at all to him. It was like walks. I see he was chasing, trying to get that 8th home run yesterday. But I think there's value because of the walks, right? You don't get a total base for a walk, and you get guys like Trout and Harper, and I know Vlad's kind of going through something, but early on in the year, like you could get those guys plus money because they're not going to see a lot of great pitches, and most times these guys will take their walks, right? Like especially Harper and Trout over the past few years, double-digit walk rates and things like that, but. If you look at some of the splits, they could be in decent spots for those total bases. So it's an interesting market to kind of get into. And like you said, yeah, maybe we dive into that a little bit more come playoff time or next season as well. So we're done pumping our tires. That's it. It's proceed with caution here today, guys. But we'll try to hammer this home between us. We are over the century mark for units, and there's still time to win a few more and then hopefully have success on football Sunday. So let's try to build that bankroll. We got a couple picks each here. I am going, since you mentioned the O's, let's start with that one. I got a couple Corbins on the slate here. I'm going to pick on one, and hopefully the other one can get me some punch outs. But Patrick Corbin over 5.5 hits allowed here today is what I'm going to lead with. I believe that's minus 114 over at DraftKings. Actually, over at Caesars. I'm looking at the prop shop now. Minus 115 over at DK. Minus 114 over at Caesars. So Patrick Corbin, I mean, this guy is just a straight up gas can. Like he really is. We know this. It's been a popular bet. I think I've almost been on it every start. I know Josh Gross was doing a lot of it as well. And we had some fun chats inside the Discord when Patrick Corbin day. His last start, he allowed 12 hits, 6 2/3, 5 earned runs. He's allowed 195 hits in 141 1/3 innings this season. He's actually allowed at least 6 hits in 17 of his last 22 starts. And we were laughing inside the green room. There's a couple outings where he didn't get out of the first and he still allowed 6+ hits. An outing here against the Dodgers, that was July 27th. He went 2/3. He allowed 7 hits, 6 earned runs. And then there was another start against the Phillies where he allowed 5 hits and 6 earned runs, only 2/3 there. So he didn't get that one. And then the Phillies rocked him again his last start. But honestly, like this guy he's not striking out any batters, 7K per 9. He's got a high contact rate. And the Nationals are at the point of the season where what's the point of taking this guy out? Unless he allows another 6 or 7 runs early in this first inning, he's just going to stay in the game, even with giving up hits and giving up runs, going up against your O's today. There's a lot of guys that I think could get to him early and often. So you just go look at it. It's been consistently 6-7 hits pretty often for Patrick Corbin. So I'm taking the over on that one. And I think the O's are in a pretty good spot to maybe get a W here.
Yeah, I definitely like that. I mean, that's the other thing when you look at the Nationals bullpen is like, do they really have a better option in the pen? I don't think they do. And I mean, I know Corbin's been a certifiable gas can this year. He's been a little bit unlucky for sure, but he's getting hit pretty hard. And I expect the Orioles to kind of do the same tonight. I actually bet the Orioles on the money line. I want to say in the minus 135 range, something like that. So I do like the Baltimore tonight. And yeah, hopefully they get 8 or 9 hits off Corbin and we'll see an O's win.
Yeah, look at the zone contact, 88.5%. The contact rate overall is a career high for him, 80.3%. For me, anything that's above 80 is a bit of a red flag, right? He's not getting any swing and misses. His 9.3 swinging strike percentage is the lowest mark since his rookie season in 2012. His CSW percentage is 25%. He's had some seasons like high 20s, and he had one season in 2018 before he went to the Nats where it was at 32.3%. But he's not getting too many swing and misses. So we're on the O's, and hopefully they don't rock him too much in the first. Like if he can get through that first with only allowing a couple hits and a couple runs, then we could potentially be on our way. But we like Baltimore here today to kind of get to him. What do you have on your card?
All right. People that watched me and Gove last week are not going to be surprised by this one. I'm going back to the well with Ross Stripling over 3.5 strikeouts at minus 139. I mean, I said last week that he wasn't getting enough respect. I'm really surprised to see this opening at 3.5. I think 4.5 would have been a fair number here, but he's inducing swings at a career high rate, and he has an elite chase rate in the 91st percentile. Like I said, he's the best swinging strike percentage since 2018. And for the year, his strikeout percentage is relatively average, but in his last 6 starts, it's at 27%. And he's gone over this number in 6 straight games and 8 of his last 9. And during that period, he's increased his swinging strike by 3.5%, which is pretty significant. Now he throws his fastball more often than his other pitches, and it has his second best strikeout percentage at 25%. And Tampa comes in today with the third most strikeouts versus the four-seam fastball. Now the Rays have decreased their strikeout percentage over the last few weeks, but for the season, it's still the sixth highest strikeout percentage versus righties. And they also have the seventh lowest zone contact rate and the seventh highest whiff percentage. And post All-Star break, they have the 11th highest swinging strike percentage in baseball. So they are still swinging and missing fairly often. And again, this isn't a very big number at 3.5. So I project Stripling to go about 6 innings here and honestly strike out 4 or 5 to cash our bet.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, the Rays, like you said, nearly 24% is their strikeout rate against righties, a high swinging strike percentage. And as you mentioned, they've cut it down a little bit lately, but I'm surprised at 3.5. You're paying a little bit of juice, but not much. Like still a pretty good price. And even if it gets to 4.5, maybe we can get some plus money action. That's what I said about Hunter Brown yesterday at 4.5. It didn't look like we were going to get there. All of a sudden, I think he may have struck out the side. Did it? Because when I was going to hockey last night and I saw before, I went into the dressing room and I was like, oh wow, this guy's only got 2 strikeouts. Damn it. And then before I got on the ice, it was like, oh wow, he must have struck out the side because all of a sudden he was at 5. But I said on the show, like if people were going to bet him and if it got to 5.5, I would be interested in plus money. If it got to 4.5, I'd like the 3.5. I'm willing to pay the juice. If it got to 4.5 a little bit later on in the day, because we do have a lot of Jays fans. In the Toronto area, the show GamePlus Network, Anthem Sports Entertainment. If it got to 4.5 plus money, would you get involved?
I mean, honestly, I probably could see myself playing a 4.5 plus 120. I don't think I'd play it for the full unit though, maybe a little bit more than a half unit. And it's funny you mentioned that. I had my first night back on the basketball court last night since nice. I think since the spring. So I was checking that prop out as well in between games. And honestly, he did only hit by the hook, but he only threw 82 pitches. So yeah. I think Dusty was relatively conservative with him.
Yeah, that's something I think we're going to have to keep an eye on with him because, man, I like what I see from him. And he definitely has that upside. If they're going to hang 4.5s again, I'll probably get involved. But if it gets any higher than that, we may have to proceed with caution. I see, some people in the chat. Javier at 3Ks now through 2. I mean, that guy's just, I love that guy. It says 4.5 plus 107. I'm looking at our prop shop. So I'm seeing over at FanDuel, 4.5 is plus 134. That's not bad. I think I could get behind that one. Some books have them juiced to minus 167, 3.5. Use our prop shop, guys. Get involved here early. You're hanging out live on our FTN Network YouTube page. I like the bet that Dream just got. But if you're watching a replay a little bit later on and you're watching live at 6 Eastern on GamePlus Network, you may only see 4.5. But man, I think I'd get involved with that plus 134 if you miss out on the 3.5.
I mean, honestly, I do like that plus 34. And you could always honestly put a half unit at the 4.5 at plus 134 and then half unit on the 3.5 at minus 165, even if it's still in that range to kind of get the an average of 4 there. And I like hearing about Javier. I think I bet his over today at 6.5. So let's rack up a few more before Dusty pulls him.
Nice. And selfishly, I wanted as well because he's I'm in my semifinal matchup and I have him in one of my. I kept him when he went to the bullpen, as I'm just like, maybe he can still rack up 5 or 6 strikeouts coming out of the pen for me in a week. Daily Handle will get to the question in a little bit. That's the Giants, right? That game is starting really early, so it's not going to really help anybody out, on GamePlus Network and things like that. But that's a 3:45 Eastern start. You got Carlos Rodon and Charlie Morton. I was actually thinking about you the other day, Daily Handle, because that game, that Mets and the Marlins and Rangers, that one cruised over. That one was well over the 7 runs. I think we saw a lot of runs when we were kind of back and forth.
Yeah, because I think Gray only went 35 pitches or something like that. They didn't I was looking, they didn't disclose their pitching plan, but yeah, it was mostly a bullpen game for I guess both clubs.
I could get behind if you want to take a dog, Giants plus money. Rodon's on the bump, right? It's Charlie Morton on the other side though, so. If you want some early action, I think that's okay. Another Corbin for me. I am going to go with Corbin Burns. I mentioned earlier with Garrett Cole at 6.5. I just thought it was too low for his upside. I think this is too low as well at a pretty decent price at minus 110. He's coming off a fantastic start. Of course, that was against the Giants where he struck out 14 batters. The Cards are a good team against lefties, right? They don't strike out a lot. So I understand, the books having this at 6.5, but I'm just going to go with ceiling here and upside. This is a guy that has 214 strikeouts and 172 innings. He's got a solid 11.2 K per nine. His xFIP is sub 3. It's actually spot on. 2.93 ERA, 2.93 xFIP for him. 77% strand rate. Keeps the ball on the ground for the most part. Has given up some bombs lately, and 20 on the season, but this is his fourth start against St. Louis. 27 strikeouts in 21 innings this season against the Cards, and only one earned run allowed. His last start, he fell just short of this number. He was stuck on 6, but his start earlier in the year, 7 scoreless, 10 punch-outs. Another start earlier in the year, 7 scoreless and 11 punch-outs. So, yeah, the Cards are good. They're great against lefties, but Corbin Burnes has had some success against the Cardinals. So I am hoping that he can get to 7. If you look at the back of the baseball card, though, apart from that last one where he broke out again, 5 strikeouts, Arizona, 5 Pittsburgh, 3 Dodgers, 6 Dodgers, 6 Cardinals. So it's been a minute apart from that last outing where he's kind of creeped over this number, but I'm in, man. I know that this guy can rack up strikeouts. I'm going to take, I'm going for the upside here, but I may have to sweat it out because the Cards are good against lefties.
They are. They hit lefties pretty well. And to be honest with you, I do think it'll be a little bit of a sweat.
Oh yeah, we're sweating.
But I can't imagine betting the under 6.5 here. So if you made me pick a side here, I'm definitely with you. I didn't have that big of a strong feel for this game in general. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. I wouldn't want anything to do with that under 6.5. So I like the over there as well.
Yeah, our guy Noopbar, he's kind of slowed down quite a bit. I don't know if he's gonna get in there, that lefty on lefty, but if he gets in, he's been striking out a little bit as well. We do have a few more minutes. Was there anything else that it's weird with some of these slates because there's not a lot of games. You have some afternoon action. I was looking at the Red Sox and the Yankees, like Nestor Cortez on the bump and Bayo on the bump. Maybe not so much looking at some strikeouts. It's a high total at 9, but anytime these two teams get together, I feel like, man, it's usually fireworks. There's usually a lot of offense. This Red Sox bullpen has been really bad. It was shown us that he does have, certainly some strikeout upside. He's, struggled with command here and there. And, Cortez has done the same thing. He's been really good this season. He's had some moments where, he's given up some bombs and he's struggled with some command, but is that too high of a number for you at 9 to get involved with the total?
Honestly, I need a little bit more information there. Cortez came off the injured list in his last start, went only 4 innings versus the Twins and didn't look all that sharp. He only gave up 2 earned runs, only had 2 strikeouts. So I want to know if he's still on a pitch count and what that number is at. And, we've been talking about Bayo now, I feel like for like a month or so.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
I'm a fan of his. I think he'll pitch well today. I was actually kind of close on betting his over 4.5 strikeout prop. But I don't know. I didn't end up firing on it. I actually lean under for the game, but I just need more info on Cortez. And I guess I was a little nervous with Bayo pitching or, going against this Yankees club.
Yeah, he had 7 strikeouts against your O's in the last outing, but he walked 4. Like, he's walked 20 guys in 37 1/3. There's a 4.82 walks per 9. Like, that's kind of where I have the pause. He's been a little bit unlucky for a guy that's been keeping the ball on the ground 58% of the time so far. He's got the 5.79 ERA and an xFIP 3.95, and his FIP is 2.95. But, man, when you're walking guys, like, that's the issue that I have. If you're going to walk 3 or 4 Yankees here today, you could really easily get in trouble pretty quickly.
And I will say, though, he has looked like he's definitely seems more comfortable than he did for his first 3 starts. I think there were a lot of nerves early on, and you could actually see it in his pace. He was pitching really quickly, just getting the ball and ready, firing it back. He kind of looks like he belongs now. I think he definitely feels more comfortable, and he looked good against the O's. I want to say he struggled more in the 6th inning. I'll have to double check that, but I think that's where a few of those walks came. But yeah, man, his advanced stats are just nuts. I mean, that elite ground ball rate, we should see an elite swinging strike percentage as well. You mentioned his FIP is just under 3. His Sierra is at 4.2. So he's definitely been significantly unlucky so far. So I guess that's kind of why I'm a little on the fence.
Yeah. Take this with a grain of salt. Only 1 start for Cortez against the Red Sox, 3 2/3. That did come at Fenway, where this game will happen here this evening. He allowed 8 hits, 4 runs, 2 bombs, and a couple walks. But, he's had a pretty good season. 2.73 ERA, 3.75 xFIP. Does not keep the ball on the ground. It's pretty much the opposite, which, gets him a little bit of trouble here and there. He checks in with a 48.5% fly ball rate. And for his career, he's at 47.8%. So, maybe a little, I don't know, maybe a little sneaky Red Sox bomb or something in there. We
We do
could
have a
see
little bit wind at Fenway. I know it's cooled down a decent amount here on the East Coast, but I do see some wind flying out. But yeah, I'll look into his pitch count really to see if they are limiting him again. And he hasn't, he came out the gates just dominating guys. I think his K percentage has dropped since the first couple of months of the season, so he was struggling even a little bit before hitting the IL.
Absolutely. Any final words before we get out of here? Do we want to maybe, since Corbin's going to give up so much contact, like we think he's going to give up any contact, is there an O's guy that you think could maybe get to him today with the lefty matchup? We don't obviously have their lineup out, but like maybe a Mountcastle, Jesus Aguilar. I missed that. I did not see that he was he's an O here. Any Santander, Mountcastle, these guys maybe early and often kind of get to Corbin, maybe 2 bases.
That was the guy I was thinking about. Santander has a 391 WOBA first lefties and a 159 WRC plus. So when I was, like I said, I've been kind of trying to track some of these total base props and hitting props in general. He was the first guy that popped into my head. So I'll probably look into him, see what kind of lines we can get, and I might mark that down as something I'll be tracking. But yeah, I do like Santander in this spot.
Plus 102 over at Caesars for 2 bags. DK plus 100. BetMGM plus 100. Bet Rivers at minus 104. So not bad. Probably go through the order maybe 5 times here today. We'll see what happens, because you're right. I mean, that Nats bullpen, right? Top 10 in terms of ERA, just over 4. So what's the point? Just leave Corbin in there. Just let him chuck, and hopefully you can figure it out. Guys, we appreciate all the support on this show. I know we came at you late, after the All-Star break here, but we will be with you here, throughout playoffs. And we would love for you guys to be part of the FTN fam. If you don't want to lock up for a year, you can sign up for a month. You can use FTN 20, save yourself 20%. Tail Dream, get that bankroll, build it up, and then hopefully, once NHL and NBA starts to come, and you can continue to make some bets that way as well. Projections, tools. We have a strikeout model, which is fantastic, over at ftnbets.com. You're doing weekly articles for free, so check out ftnbets.com for all the latest, and we keep track of everything, all the picks there as well, as you saw earlier with Dream's record. So we'll say goodbye to everybody hanging out. Any questions, hit us up at MLBDream, at Chris Meaney, Quan running the show, and we support everybody over at GamePlus Network. Have a fantastic Wednesday. We'll be back on Friday. Good luck around the diamond. Cheers.